All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? My name is Billy TKO. I'm joined by my good friend Phil Met. Phil, how are you, brother? Oh, Phil, we can't hear you.
Hello.
There you go.
There
You
we
are.
are. All
Yeah.
right. Sorry, guys. Yeah, man, we're doing some really good things over here, man. I cannot wait to get into this episode of the Hot Tag Wrestling Podcast, and we are about to get things started. So let's get it done.
Yes, sir. First off, I want to say I see my boy Said in the chat. Said what's going on. I also see that boy Nathan. He said, "Go blue." You know it, baby. Go blue always, brother. Always, always, always. But yeah, man, Hot Tag Wrestling Pod. We're here to talk about everything pro wrestling, everything that's taken place this week in pro wrestling. Which there is a lot to unpack this week, man. All the way from Monday to today. I mean, there's been a shit ton, obviously no PLEs or anything like that. We did have Revolution this past weekend, which we can touch on a little bit. But, starting off, with the main portion of the week, I mean, there really was a lot that kind of transpired between Raw, Dynamite, even TNA had their own little splash of something that happened.
Right.
And then on SmackDown, obviously, there is a lot to uncover.
Oh yeah, yeah. This week was really hot in terms of the WrestleMania build that we got going on. Obviously, we're only just a few weeks away from the biggest show that WWE does put on all year round. And obviously, with AEW Revolution that happened this past weekend, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things to talk about when it comes down to AEW as well, man. AEW is honestly kind of catching a lot of fire right now.
Yeah,
It's on the rise, and a lot of people are kind of taking notice of that. And at the end of the day, man, it's just great to talk pro wrestling
always.
because it's not always just about what's happening in the ring, but in terms of like what is really going down in between the ropes, you got everything that's involving
Yeah.
both WWE and AEW. And when both companies are hot, it's the best of both worlds there.
Correct, man. I mean, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. I really like the way you said that. A lot of people love to do the whole tribalistic thing and say, "Oh, one company's better than the other." The truth is that we're just getting really solid pro wrestling all around, and I think that's the big thing to notice, right? And I think we could start, kind of with AEW and Revolution. Obviously, the pay per view itself, I mean, has to be, pay per view of the year in some stretch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the pay-per-view really knocked it out of the park, but there were a lot of complaints about the time frame, which is obviously something that's always kind of been the thing with AEW. If you've been a consistent watcher of AEW, you would know that like their pay-per-views are always, 4 hours long, 4.5 hours long. They tend to do that. And I think it's definitely a case of like they want you to get your money's worth. And people still find a way to complain. And I think the complaints come from how late it goes. If they started it earlier, I don't think there would be any complaints. But I just want to get your thoughts real fast on the time frame of AEW's pay-per-views and where it stands in your mind. Like, are they too long? Are they just good enough? I'm interested to know.
AEW Revolution was very long.
Yeah.
It was a very,
Yeah.
very long show. And, I've always had that kind of gripe when it comes down to AEW. I understand what Tony Khan is trying to do. He is giving you your money's worth at the end of the day. He's putting on 12, 13, 14 matches a match card. And that does include the pre show at the end of the day, the buy in that they do on YouTube.
Mhm.
But he doesn't always have to do that. And that's the thing with me. The thing is, we live in the world of the WWE where less is more. And the WWE puts on these 5 match cards at the most when it comes down to the PLE. And they
Mhm.
spread it out, they stretch it out to the point of a 3 hour product or whatever they have for their run for the pay per views that they do. And I don't only just try to compare it to the WWE, but sometimes when you have the two companies that go head to head as much as they do, it's kind of hard to not do that. It's kind of hard to like not kind of just try to take like try to figure out what they can do from here, move it over to here and see what can work. I think what ultimately it boils down to is that the fact of the matter is this show was on a Sunday too, man.
Yeah.
This was on
Yeah.
a Sunday.
Yeah.
So when people have to go to work the next day, it's always some sort of talking point that AEW fans and mainly just wrestling fans have to take shape. I think ultimately what Tony Khan needs to do, because in terms of the actual quality of the show, there's no issue. None
No,
whatsoever.
no.
He's Mr. Pay-per-view in that regard when it comes down to the quality that he brings
Hmm.
to the ring and what he produces out there. It is always just a timing issue, man. It's always. And I just don't think that they need to do 12, 13, 14 matches in order to get things done.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I definitely think it's the case of AEW really does do pay-per-view well, which shout out to them. Tony Khan, when it comes to booking a pay-per-view, is very solid. Do I think that there are some filler matches that maybe don't necessarily have to sit in the frame of the card? Yeah, I feel like some of the matches are indeed filler, but again, you're getting what you pay for, and AEW wants you to get what you're paying for. So, I mean, overall, the pay per view, again, Revolution, solid all the way through and through. And obviously, one of the big talking points out of AEW Revolution was that brutal, brutal, brutal Texas death match between MJF and Hangman Adam Page. And for anybody who doesn't know, there was a stipulation added to that match. The stipulation was that if Hangman Adam Page were to lose, he would not be able to challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship again.
Right.
And obviously, Hangman did end up losing that match. It was brutal through and through. I mean, we seen glass, we seen bodies getting dragged through glass, we seen jumping off the stage, and things are exploding. I mean, they even called back to 2022 Revolution, where we seen CM Punk and MJF in the dog collar match. Yeah, and
he's like, not again, not
Yeah,
again.
bro, you heard MJF. You could hear him while the dog collar was being brought out. He said, and I think this is in quote, he said, "Not this bullshit again."
Yeah.
And it's just such a cool callback, right? Because like that dog collar match is one of my favorite matches of all time.
Oh yeah. Especially for AEW's sake.
Correct. Yeah, it was hands down one of my favorite matches of all time. So I thought it was really cool that they called back to that and really gave a nice like nod to it. So that was really cool. We also seen the return of Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, who he had, was it neck fusion surgery? I want to say
neck fusion. Yeah.
Yes, and he was. When did he go out? September?
He went out in September, I believe. Yeah. It was like All Out or whatever. It's been like only 5-6 months.
Yeah, and it's like he's back wrestling, back to a full-time schedule. It's like, hold on, you just had double neck fusion surgery. What are we talking about? So we've seen the return of Will Ospreay. He came out and he attacked the Death Riders and Jon Moxley, because obviously in story, Jon Moxley is the one that took him out. But there was just so much to unpack. We've seen Ronda Rousey show up in AEW, which is very interesting within itself. And
that's real controversial in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, that one, after everything that Ronda Rousey has said, it's like, what are we doing here, brother? Why do we have Ronda Rousey showing up in your company? And I know that Ronda Rousey has I want to say she's on like the MMA card on Netflix.
Yeah. She has a fight coming up in May. And people think that this is ultimately going to lead to like some sort of like AEW kind of
infiltrating the WWE type thing,
or just promoting it, because obviously Netflix is a huge WWE partner with them, like streaming Monday Night Raw over there, and obviously doing the pay-per-views internationally with there too. I mean, like, people think that this is going to be leading to some like sort of like interpromotional type deal with everything, but no. The fact of the matter is, in my eyes, like, they didn't even do anything with MJF when he was a part of Happy Gilmore, when that was streaming on Netflix. They didn't promote anything with that. They didn't do anything.
They're not going to promote her fight at all.
They didn't say a single word. I don't like they're not going to say a single word about this. And if they do, it's probably just going to be like some sort of like mini little thing on commentary, and that's just going to be it. It's not going to be anything too groundbreaking.
Yeah. So here's the truth behind the situation with Ronda Rousey. I think a lot of people are expecting that maybe they do some type of promotion for her fight. The truth is that's not going to happen. Matter of fact, kind of like Phil said just a moment ago, the Happy Gilmore situation, like, they didn't talk about that at all, and that ended up being one of Netflix's biggest movies of all time. So they didn't give that mention. But what I do think will happen is I think you'll see Ronda Rousey in a certain situation where maybe she brings it up and talks about it. If you even go look at like MJF and the things that he does on his own, he's constantly talking about him being in Happy Gilmore. You see him on the Chris Van Vliet podcast and he's talking about Becky Lynch. And, obviously they work together on the movie.
Right.
Like it's going to be one of those situations where they're not going to indirectly go out of their way to promote Ronda Rousey's fight, especially if she's signed with AEW, which obviously that's a mystery right now within itself. But regardless of that fact, it's just going to be one of those situations where Ronda Rousey goes out, promotes it on her own. Ronda Rousey is a household name within herself, whether people like her or not. She is a household name, and she doesn't necessarily need the backing of AEW to promote her fight that's taking place in May.
She'll do her media rounds, no doubt about that. Like the media rounds that she will do personally, that's not an issue. It's AEW that they're not going to do anything with.
Yeah, that's just the truth behind it. So yeah, AEW Revolution, man. I mean, just a solid pay-per-view all around. Sadly, I wish that in some case, oh man, I truly do. I wish they would go away from how long they are, because for somebody who like myself, I have a stepdaughter and all these things, like that thing, I can't sit there and focus on it. Number one, I'm trying to, put my stepdaughter to bed. I'm trying to get her situated. There's just so much going on at all times. So it's one of those situations where I just wish that maybe we could pull away from that a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I won't think too much about that.
7-8 matches at most is something that I think AEW could possibly do for like a main card and still make things work for themselves. It doesn't have to be like this sort of like ground, like 13 matches on one match card. It's just not a thing, especially when the main event happened for 46 minutes. And that was bell to bell. That's not a whole segment between entrances and then the final bell. Bell to bell, the beginning bell started the timer, and 46 minutes later, that final bell rung. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's really funny because
last hour for entrances alone.
Right. I see Nats fan. He said 10 max. Yeah, I agree. I think 10 max or 10 is fine at the max. You know what I mean? If you're selling a pay-per-view for $50 or $40, whatever it is, I definitely think that 10 is like a comfortable max there. I don't hate it at all. But AEW Revolution, solid pay-per-view overall. Definitely one of the pay-per-views of the year. And I think that'll, once we get into the later stretch of the year, we'll still be having that conversation about Revolution and everything that kind of transpired in that. But then the only thing that instantly ran through my mind after AEW Revolution ended, how is WWE going to follow this up? Obviously, we have Monday Night Raw the next night. How are they going to follow this up? How are they going to compete in that stretch? Because I know when I was watching AEW Revolution, the one thing that struck my mind was, man, this shit is good. I don't know if WWE has it in their cards to make this happen, but there was one thing that kind of stuck with me that I needed to happen to feel that kind of excitement for WrestleMania going forward. And it wasn't Roman Reigns. It wasn't CM Punk. It wasn't Becky Lynch or AJ Lee. It was none of that. The one thing that I needed was Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. I needed that going into Monday Night Raw. I didn't know how they were going to do it. I didn't know if they were finally going to do it. Regardless of that, they did do it. They chose on Monday Night Raw to go in the direction of Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. And I can imagine everybody here probably watched Monday Night Raw. And if you didn't, little backstory, Seth Rollins goes out to the ring with his masked men. Paul Heyman comes out. He brings out Brock Lesnar. Looks like Brock's about to challenge Seth. That's what it looked like at first. And then obviously Seth had made mention, I think maybe last week, about not being cleared to wrestle in the first place because he's still not ready or whatever. So he doesn't get physical with Seth or anything. And then just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear Oba's music and the place shook, bro.
I literally had chills all over my body. That was such a cool way to get
it really was. It really was. Number one, I think it solidifies Obafemi kind of immediately, right? Being out in the ring with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, I think should be a mention within itself. And not only to just be in the ring with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, but also to be the one standing tall in the ring with Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins.
For sure. Like the thing is, we all know what Opafemi brings to the table. Like that's really not even a negotiation point at this matter. What really truly matters is that the swerve that WWE did to pull this off is probably
Yeah.
one of the best things that they ever done throughout the entire WrestleMania season. We all knew that with the Seth Rollins injury, things are going to have to be a little bit more delicate with him and what he is going to be doing at WrestleMania. I still firmly believe that we are going to be getting Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. There's no doubt in my mind. I think ultimately, and we could possibly talk about his situation a little bit later,
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
or after this even,
Yeah, I was about to say we'll
like
follow up
what
with
we
that.
can possibly see him in. For Brock Lesnar, I was truly thinking in my head that there's literally only two people that I would possibly want to see this man mix it up with.
Hmm.
One being Obafemi, which we are obviously getting, but the second one, and I know we saw it before, but I was going to be okay if
Hmm.
they actually did end up doing Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar because of the whole Paul Heyman factor, and
Hmm.
that just made sense in terms of just the story that they were telling. But with the way that they did it, you think that the man is going to be facing Seth Rollins because he literally just took out all the putties on the outside of the ring.
The
And
putties is crazy.
I mean, look, they're multiplying like
All
them.
right, dude. I
If you
swear.
guys are Power Ranger fans, you guys know exactly who I'm talking
Yep.
about.
Yep.
Um, but like, I mean, he takes all of them out. He just sees Seth Rollins like dead in his sights, and then all of a sudden the lights go out, and Opafemi comes out. I mean, it was such a great way to do it, and that power bomb shook the entire landscape of the WWE with that one full motion. It was such a great moment, and the match is on for WrestleMania, and I can't wait.
Yeah, man. I first off want to give credit to Brock Lesnar in this case, and I know I'm for anybody who's wondering, I'm not a Brock Lesnar fan by any stretch, but I also
Trust me,
understand
I
like
know.
what he's.
I've had to,
You
talk
kind of
myself
have
out of
to,
it all week.
yeah, you kind of have to separate the two. You understand, the things that have happened in real life, and you cannot undermine that by any stretch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we won't touch too much on that because we're here to escape those kind of things. But Brock Lesnar, he did make mention to Obafemi while he was on the ground after he had been power bombed, where he looked up and
Put
you
your
could
foot
kind.
on my chest.
Yeah, he told Obafemi to put his foot on his chest. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen Brock Lesnar do something like this. We've also seen Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre in a feud many, many years ago, where Drew McIntyre actually attacked Brock Lesnar and he beat him down. And then Brock Lesnar kind of popped up and he looked at Drew and he said, "Grab the title."
Grab the title. Yeah.
And that it's just a cool nod that, Brock Lesnar definitely pays attention to the minute details that is going to get the crowd more engaged. Of course, I'm going to be more engaged in the Obafemi Brock Lesnar situation if Obafemi's putting his foot on the chest of Brock Lesnar because holy shit, that's Brock Lesnar. Nobody would ever do that to him. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then to point to the WrestleMania sign and make it like, "Oh, I'm coming for you. I'm the hunter. You are now being hunted." I think
Right.
that's a cool nod to everything that, Brock Lesnar has done kind of in his career. You got to make mention of that because he has helped, this younger talent move forward. So, Obafemi and Brock Lesnar is definitely a match that I am 1000% looking forward to at WrestleMania. It's definitely something that I want to see. But
I
you
want to
did,
mention this one thing real quick.
yeah.
I made a short the other day, and if you guys have not seen that, go check it out on the channel. But like I saw like some sort of like notion going around, and it's not just like by one person. I've actually seen this going around like the IWC for whatever reason, and a lot of people actually wanted to see Brock Lesnar win this thing after everything that happened on Monday. And I was very confused about that because obviously everybody and their mother wants, or at least seem to think that they want new stars within the WWE because all the older guys they're kind of just taking away these spots for the younger guys and all that stuff, and they just want the new stars to rise up within the WWE. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they're doing right now with this whole Brock Lesnar and Obafemi thing. And no matter how you feel about Brock Lesnar, whether you like him or whether you don't, what Billy said is 100% right. The man knows what he is doing in terms of in terms of getting the people over that they need to get over and at the time that they need to do it. Brock Lesnar in the early stages of his entire career of his career is one of the more dominant rookie years that we could possibly have ever seen in the world of
It's
WWE.
probably the most dominant rookie year ever.
Right. I mean, he defeated guys like Hogan on his way to the top, the
Yeah.
Rock, Undertaker. I mean, he did
In
so
a
many
span of
great things.
in a span of 2 years from 2002 to 2004,
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar became the WWE champion. He main evented WrestleMania,
Right.
all before just walking out of the company.
For all the man's faults that he has, he knows what he is doing, and this first step to get Obafemi over that hump, to get him over to the top, to get to where he needs to be in the main event type of picture that WWE sees him in, because obviously they wouldn't be putting him in this match against Brock if they didn't
Right.
see anything in him.
Right.
Brock is going to do what he needs to do in order to get this kid over. And I cannot wait to see what ultimately happens with this. A lot of people are very scared that Brock Lesnar could ultimately win this thing against Oba. And the thing is, it's WWE. I mean, they could do whatever realistically they need to do, but what they need to do is they need to put Oba over, because this is the future. And if you want the future now, it's in Oba's hands. So
Yeah,
you
I
gotta get
mean,
that done.
I couldn't agree with you more. I definitely think that Oba must win this match. I don't think there's any question to that. If I've seen on the internet too, of course, people saying like, "Oh, Brock Lesnar, he makes sense to win this match." No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. If you want to build new stars, you have to have people like Brock Lesnar lose. It's just a simple fact that it's never going to be different. It's always going to be that. That is the only way. That is the legitimate only way that you are going to create new stars. And when I talked about it earlier in the week, I said Obafemi must win, because if you want Obafemi to move forward, this is the only way to do so. If not, you're leaving Obafemi in the dust. It's as simple as that. He's being left behind. And no, you cannot go into another pay-per-view. You cannot do it. It has to be at WrestleMania. It
We're
has
not
to be
getting a
now.
win for Obafemi over Brock Lesnar at Backlash, okay?
No,
It's
you have
happening
to.
for WrestleMania.
You have to set the dominance factor immediately at WrestleMania. It's set in stone. But I won't spend too much time on that. I know we wanted to talk everything about this show. And one thing that you kind of made mention of following up is Seth Rollins and his potential opponent. And I think that's a really good segue, because obviously Seth Rollins was in the ring for Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, and a lot of people were left questioning of what is Seth Rollins going to do then? What was the point of him coming back? Now, I think it's kind of fair to say, and it's set in stone, kind of what's going to happen with Seth Rollins. I think it's almost apparent. There was some news that kind of came out throughout the week after Monday Night Raw that we could be seeing the return of Braun Breaker, which makes a lot of sense because now you have Brock Lesnar in this situation with Obafemi. Paul Heyman is going to have to call on somebody. He's just going to call back the person who was injured. He's going to call back Braun Breaker. And I think we're going to see Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42, which, by the way, was this structure and the way that the WrestleMania card is being structured, whether you like the build or not, the card and the structure itself is the structure that we've wanted to see. You want to see Braun and Seth. You want to see Punk and Roman. You want to see Randy and Cody. You want to see Oba and Brock. All of these matches are matches that you want to see. Liv and Stephanie, that's another really good one. Jade and Rhea, maybe not so much, but again, you understand it's Jade and Rhea. You want to get them both over. With that being said, WWE has done a really good job at, on paper, making this card look phenomenal. Problem is that some people would argue the build isn't the best. And obviously this Seth Rollins situation becomes a little bit more confusing because you are left in the dust of, okay, well, when does Braun Breaker actually come back? When do we see the return of Braun Breaker? Because kind of like you said in the beginning of the stream, we're almost to WrestleMania. We are not far away anymore. We are moving into like a 3-week time span here shortly. So we're 3 weeks away from WrestleMania and we still have no show of Braun Breaker. What's going to happen? He's just going to attack him? Is that going to be how we do it? No, I don't think that should be the case. But from the looks of it, Braun Breaker is returning. He's going to be taking on Seth Rollins. Please go ahead and make the mention now.
through all of WWE's faults in terms of what you think the booking is and the build is for WrestleMania, somehow, some way, they're still getting done what they need to get done in terms of like what matches they really wanted to plan out for WrestleMania. And if this match is actually going to be taking place between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, first of all, Braun Breaker is an absolute madman. If he came back from a hernia this soon or whatever, really kind of like went whatever he went through in order to get this done, freaking madman, and I love that guy. But the plan all along, Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins, it just made sense to do after everything, especially with the way that Seth and like put Braun into the vision and all of that. You kind of just saw the writing on the wall that this was going to be a huge key match, possibly for WrestleMania, and they're still going to be able to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So, I mean, you got 5 matches booked right now. Seth versus Braun Breaker. That's 6 right there. I mean, they're still putting on a fairly good card for WrestleMania, and like I said earlier, man, we're like only 4 weeks out. 4 weeks from today
Is
is
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So I mean, like we got a lot of time to still do things here, and I think that Braun Breaker is going to be coming back in some sort of like attack angle because why do you think there's so many putties going around the ring?
Correct. He's gonna have
One
to
of them
take
is
them
going
all
to be
out.
Braun Breaker. I feel
Oh, you
one
think
of
so?
one of them is going to be Braun Breaker, and then all of a sudden, when he stands toe to toe with Seth, to be like, "What are you doing? Get him or whatever." Takes off a mask. I know it's another masked man, but take off the mask. It's Braun Breaker, and then boom, spear, and that's how you get things done. Like I think that could be a really good way to do it. It's not like a masked man where it's like some sort of mystery thing that goes on for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, or hell, even a box for that matter. Shout out Danhausen. But like it's nothing like that. You do all these putties. And I'm gonna keep calling him that because it's just a great thing. And
Yeah.
you do all of this just to get Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins in the middle of the ring, take off the mask spear. That's the way you set it up.
Dude, I like that theory. I like that theory. I'm not going to disagree with you too much on that. I don't necessarily know if they will go that route. I do like the theory, but again, it's one of those situations where it's like you're kind of putting yourself back in that box of it's another masked man, and I feel like maybe we should move a little bit away from
They're
that.
not going to set it up like that though. Like in terms of like who the heck this masked man is. Like
right, it's not going to be a
it.
consistent thing. It's just going to be a one-off, and Braun Breaker shows up. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Right.
But I don't want to spend way too much time on Monday Night Raw. But obviously we have to talk about the main event. In the main event that transpired on Monday Night Raw, which was obviously Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Yeah. And this is obviously a very huge talking point right now because what happened in that main event, a lot of people felt that it was underwhelming. You would see CM Punk and Roman Reigns. First off, I want to make mention that this was the first time that you've seen them get physical. Now, obviously, it's not the actual first time that you've seen Roman and Punk get physical, but in this build to WrestleMania, it's the first time. So they get physical with one another, but obviously what leads up to that is that CM Punk comes out, Roman Reigns, they're cutting their promos. CM Punk tells Roman Reigns essentially that I'm in your head. And then Roman Reigns follows up and essentially calls CM Punk old. Now, the interesting factor here is I don't know why, and I can't make sense of why that is the reason somebody gets set off. And I just want to clarify real fast. I can understand trying to tell this story of getting into each other's head. But being called old just feels like one of those situations where it's like, oh man, like I got called old. Shit, what am I gonna do? Yeah. It doesn't matter that much. Best. Like, dude, I'm 28 years old and I get called old. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
I get
whatever.
Called Unk every single day,
yeah, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's up, Unk? Like, dude, nobody cares that much. Like, yeah, maybe CM Punk is old. Bro, Roman's not far behind him.
47 going up against a 40-year-old. They're not like it's not like. Look, The fact of the matter is, I understand that being called old in the wrestling business, or that kind of like trope of everything, is kind of like a it's kind of like a, it's some sort of weird thing that that pro wrestling has at the word old. If you get called old and then you get beat up by an old man, you got beat up by an old man.
Bro, Ric
Or
Flair just retired like 2 years ago.
yeah,
What are
but
we talking about?
he retired 2 years ago, yet today he's still wrestling. So I mean, it doesn't even
Is he?
matter at this point. Like he's still doing stuff. I mean, he hasn't been in a match in forever, but
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
he's
I
still
was about to
doing
say.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you get called old, and then you get beat up by an old man. You got beat up by an old man, or you beat up the old man, then you just beat up an old man. It's like not really that kind of a thing that really should set some people off, but it does. And like, I get it to some degree of what you're trying to do here, but 2 weeks ago, or however many weeks ago it was,
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk told you that he was going to bury you next to your dead father. And this
Correct. Correct.
and the line that sets off CM Punk is being called old. I do not think that that was the original line of that promo. I don't. I think what they kind of did was they sort of like somewhat, some way read the crowd, and they're like, maybe this crowd isn't going to react in the same way of this line that we're hopefully thinking that they are. So we're
Mhm.
probably just going to pivot into something.
Yeah.
I The dog had to have been mentioned. I'm sorry, the dog had to have been mentioned.
Yeah, I felt like that was like the next
It
key
was the
factor.
easiest thing. The
Yeah,
easiest
it
thing for them to do. And
but
apparently they just
I
didn't
think
think it
the
was gonna work.
I think the problem is, and I'm just gonna keep it honest with everybody. I think the biggest problem in why Roman didn't mention the dog and maybe they chose to pivot that way is in my head, I don't think WWE wants to clarify who the heel and who the face is. I think
Right.
WWE is trying to establish that both of these guys are good guys, but in different ways. You know what I
And
mean?
you
Like,
can decide who you wanna side with.
right. You decide who you feel is, doing right by you and your moral high ground. And I think looking at that, I feel like because again, CM Punk mentioning his dead father, that is something that CM Punk does, good or bad. Like CM Punk is going to cross the line. That's what we've always known CM Punk to do.
Right.
Roman Reigns, on the other hand, we don't know him to go cross the line. In fact, we only know him and John Cena to have a promo back in 2017, and John Cena completely threshold him through this promo and destroy
Called a
him.
promo, kid. If you wanna do this, you might wanna actually speak up.
Yeah,
Like, that was such a
like Roman has never been good at promos, and I'm sorry, I know a lot of people want to say like, "Oh, Roman can hang with Punk." No, he can't. No, he can't. And sadly, this is the truth. We witnessed it on Monday. The truth of the matter here is Roman is a more dominant person than CM Punk. I think that's clarified within itself. But when it comes to talking and hanging on the mic, I do not think Roman has that in him to hang with somebody like CM Punk on the mic. But I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Regardless of this fact, it's a match that we want to see. They have to understand that, yes, this is something we want to see, but you need to make sure that you're following up with things the correct way. After the Jimmy and Jay situation, it should have been a tad bit more mention of them. It should have been a tad bit more mention of the father. It should have been a tad bit more mention of, like you said, Larry the dog. Like everything should be off the table now.
Yeah.
After the mention of the dad, everything should be off the table.
And the thing is, this is Roman Reigns and CM Punk we're talking about. And taking things outside just a little bit, when they're probably putting this thing together, all bets should be off. You mentioned my dead father a couple of weeks ago. That's fine. Now we meet together here and we're going over this thing. What can we talk about in order to make this thing as much more compelling as we can? I'm sure that if those two met together and they were talking about the talking points that they want to do in this thing, the dog was not only mentioned, brought up in the whole situation, but it was obviously going to be up to CM Punk and even AJ Lee for that matter, because AJ Lee is his wife.
Correct.
If you want to talk about the dog, go for it. Like I'm sure it would have been okay by CM Punk and AJ Lee to talk about the dog if it was all going to be okay.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
mean,
wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
I mean, once you mention the dead dad, everything's off the table.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
When you go into that and you say, "Oh yeah, your dead father," okay, yeah, now it's all written off the table. Now we're going as deep as we can. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Okay, your dog, like we got to go there now. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know that dog meant a lot to you. Obviously, Roman's dad meant a lot to him. Like you have to do that. You
Yeah.
cannot just have Roman go out there and be like, "Oh yeah, look, you're an old man," and then CM Punk just clock him in the face. Bro, who
Right.
cares?
And one more thing I want to bring up is that I think they're doing too many in terms of like these face-to-face confrontations, or like just too much in terms of like CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the same ring on the same night. They need to slow this down because they have done what, like three up until this point, like promos
No,
where
they've done so. Those two together have done two.
they've done two. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, because of Punk and the Usos. Okay, so
right,
technically three promos to carry those things, but two between
right,
Roman and
correct.
Punk. I think they're doing too much with this, man. I think they need to slow this down. You're kind of already running out of material if that is the case. And I feel like that is like you got a lot of history here and you want to dive into that history, but you don't want to dive into the history too much to where you get to like the last few weeks or whatever. And you're just standing there, just doing nothing at the end of the day. You're calling the man old because you had something planned and you didn't get it done. I think something needs to go down in terms of the slowing pace down so that we don't water this down at the end of the day.
So, can I be honest with you? I don't think that they need to slow it down. I think they need to get away from the microphone. I think they need to pull away from the microphone because I know we've talked about it, numerous times. We're in this 4 week time span to WrestleMania. I want everybody to take a look, and we'll dive into SmackDown in a little bit. But we seen what happened on SmackDown last night with Drew and
Right.
Jacob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I hate you. You know what I mean? And you to understand like Roman and Punk in this situation, you have to call back to that first promo battle that they had back during the Royal Rumble. He said to Punk, he said, "I hate you. I hate your guts."
Yeah.
Okay, you guys going out there and just talking is not really offering me anything. No, I need you guys to go out there and get physical. I need you to go out there. I need you to actually act like you hate one another. I need you to put hands on one another, not just a little punch from the Usos or a little punch, from CM Punk. Because even with all this being said, and I think this is one of the biggest problems to take, is after Punk punched Roman, Roman didn't react in a way of anger. He reacted in a way of, I don't care. And that's not good because that just means he's going to continue to try and get in the head of CM Punk for whatever reason. And he's going to try his best to get under the skin of CM Punk. And it's like, no, bro, like you were supposed to react angrily to that because now we're on this 4 week time span and you need to start beating his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely making Roman not look the best when it comes down to like you literally had your dead father get called out. You didn't do anything about that. You didn't even show up that next week.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Usos take care of it, and they got into it. Then you show up this time and you call him old as like a comeback to the whole dead father thing. And then when you get punched in the face, you smile, you laugh, you basically say that you say all the same things over and over and over again, which is funny because that's exactly what happened here. Like they're not really being consistent with this thing. And personally, I don't even think, and this just might be me, but I don't even think the punch was necessary at
No,
that time.
I don't think it was either.
Like, I
But
don't
that's
think it
what
was
sets you
necessary at
off.
the time. You want to actually save that, um, you want to save the first time that they touch in this rivalry to be a big moment, a big thing that
Correct.
ultimately sets everything off so that when it does happen, then it's go time and it's bell to bell and you just beat the ass of each other and just make it work. I don't think you needed that punch. I think you could have possibly saved that for further down the line. And then when it's like 2 weeks to like the final go home show of WrestleMania, then all bets are off. You go at each other and you probably do another pull apart brawl. But I mean, it's just a whole WWE thing that they would
Right.
do. But it would make sense because at the end of the day, these two just simply cannot take it anymore, and they're just going to go all out.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the biggest thing, kind of like you said. I don't think that was necessarily the thing that needed to emphasize the punch. I don't think that was what needed to bring the hands being put on one another or whatever the case is. But um, regardless of all of this, I mean, it was a very interesting way for WWE to move forward in this storyline. I don't know if it was the way that WWE needed to move forward in this storyline, but hey, what do I know? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Do I would I have done it a tad bit differently? Absolutely. But I mean, regardless of that fact, they are going to go off against one another at WrestleMania. It will
And they
probably
still
be a
got
good
4
match.
weeks,
Right.
so
They
who
still got
knows?
4 weeks. Exactly. Who knows? Like, there's so many things that WWE can do in 4 weeks. I mean, look at what they did on SmackDown last night with Randy Orton and how he was a part of like 3 different segments. And like, they need to do that with those two. They have
And I
to.
will say this, he mentioned CM Punk's wife, and CM Punk just shrugged it off like nothing ever happened. Like, dude, that's your wife you're talking about. You bet
Yeah.
your ass I'm going to be defending my wife if you actually if you mention her by name.
Correct.
It was such an off kind of promo with that, but they still got 4 weeks. They still got time in order to make something bigger of this. But I will ask you this, considering everything that has happened over the course of the last few weeks with the Roman Reigns and CM Punk build, and now obviously we got the turn of all turns with the Randy Orton situation with Cody Rhodes. If WWE plays this right,
Mhm.
can you possibly see a world where Randy and Cody overtake and possibly make this a night two possibility? Because I feel that, even though Roman Reigns and CM Punk is a main attraction, it is a marquee match. You want to have that as like a key pivotal point on the road to WrestleMania. And they're probably at the end of the day, whenever they figure out the goddamn graphics figured out, because there's like 5 of them now.
Yeah, I know.
Whenever they do like have the official WrestleMania poster, Roman Reigns and CM Punk are probably going to be the two main guys in the front of it all. But
Yeah.
if somehow, some way, the Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feud overtake this thing, could you possibly see that as a night two main event?
So I'll be honest with you. The only way that I can see Randy and Cody overtaking that night 2 spot, it all falls down on Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
And let me make mention for a moment. Cody Rhodes has been like this glorious baby face for quite some time. We know
especially
that.
since he's come back. Yeah,
Right. He's
yeah,
this glorious baby face. He's everything that WWE truly wants in a baby face. But what we seen last night on SmackDown, it's obviously not what the fans want. No, the fans last night chose to cheer on Randy Orton after everything
we
he's done,
love Randy.
which I will say, Randy, what he has chosen to do is create a nostalgia factor. Everybody is seeing what Randy Orton is doing, and they're seeing nostalgia, myself included. I grew up, I was at the 2009 Royal Rumble when Randy Orton won it. Right when the whole 2009 Randy Orton thing kicked off. Yeah, I was there. I witnessed it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So what people are feeling is this nostalgia factor. And rightfully so, people have that. Now, here's the thing. WWE needs to go in a different direction now, knowing that, okay, we tried to turn Randy heel. That's obviously not what's happening here. And you could still have him play the heel character. If you need him to play the heel character, you can do that. What you really have to do, though, is you have to bump up Cody Rhodes. And when I say bump up, I don't mean in the sense of like, have him go out and be the same person. I need you to take the suit off. I need you to act with anger. I need you to move with aggression. I know it sounds like very John Cena filtered and everything like that, but the truth is, is that Cody Rhodes has to become a different version of himself. A lot of mention on Friday Night SmackDown has been, oh, who is Randy talking to? I've always mentioned since this happened, let's say, for instance, Randy's talking to his dad. That's
Right,
another,
okay. Yeah.
This is another dead dad scenario, right? I need you to act with more aggression. I need you to become the anti-hero. I need you to be what Stone Cold Steve Austin was in 98 and 97. I need that type of anger from Cody Rhodes, because that is the only way that a babyface will truly work. Because what we're seeing today in WWE isn't the same WWE from 2019, where you could just come out and somebody could be a babyface and it's happy-go-lucky. No, people are rejecting that kind of thing. And they're rejecting somebody like Cody Rhodes, and WWE does not want Cody Rhodes to be rejected. He is too good. He sells too much merchandise. I get it. You do not want to.
It's already happening, though, bro. It is. It's already happening.
Here's the thing. You do not want to turn him heel. You do not have to. You don't.
Yeah.
You do not have to turn Cody heel. All you have to do is have him become the anti-hero. Stop going out there and asking, what do I want to talk about? I want you to beat Randy Orton's ass because he just beat yours.
Yeah, but the thing is, dude, I have a feeling that if he actually does like flip that switch and he beats his ass, they're gonna boo the fuck out of him, because no matter what they do in terms of Randy Orton, they could throw Pharaoh off a goddamn bridge at this point, and this man is going to get cheered like no tomorrow. The people wanted to see this Randy Orton heel turn, quote unquote, for so long, because at the end of the day, this is the true version of Randy Orton that people have been wanting to see. And yes, Cody Rhodes is the guy within the WWE that is the mega babyface, and you have him be that kind of guy, which is great, because obviously Cody Rhodes is a great babyface. I saw not too long ago, I saw the video that you made about a possible double turn. And I think that ultimately I would love to see that happen. But with everything that is happening right now in the grand scheme of things with Randy Orton, he says that he's still a good guy. He's shaking.
He's lying.
On that final thing that we saw before he did everything to Matt Cardona, he was still shaking hands with the kids, signing autographs, dapping up the adults. Like, he was still being the Randy Orton that we knew before. And then all of a sudden he got in there and said, look, I did all the good things ever since coming back from the back. I shake the hands. I make birthday wishes come true, but I feel nothing. And that was great. That was great. Mm-hmm. But I just do not see a world where WWE would ever do anything like that with Cody, because if they do anything with like that with Cody, who's going to be that next guy? They don't have a true number one babyface after Cody Rhodes. And until that happens, we're not going to get that Cody heel turn.
So I hear you. I do, loud and clear. So I've made mention of the double turn because I do think the double turn could work in this scenario, because you're right. I hear you, in the sense of, who's that next baby face that's going to step up and take the role of Cody Rhodes. Right now, nobody. That's WWE's fault. Yeah. But the truth is, even with all that being said, you can go in the direction of, here's the thing, is people are rejecting Cody Rhodes because they see the white knee babyface situation. Yeah. They see that he's the white knee babyface. They know that he's the corporate stooge for WWE in this sense. Cody has to do things that would interrupt WWE business. He has to, I don't know, let's just make mention of, the merch table, right? Go throw Randy Orton through the merch table, beat his ass in places that aren't expected. Again, it kind of, I know I make mention of the Stone Cold situation, but in some case scenario, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because Stone Cold, what he did in the most unexpected spots. I mean, look at the Booker T situation many, many years ago. He beat Booker T's ass in a grocery store. Yeah, those kind of things were fun. Now, granted, TV's a lot different. I get it. You know what I mean?
They paid a lot of money for that grocery store too. They destroyed that shit.
But the thing about it is WWE has to go the unconventional route with Cody Rhodes. You cannot just have him go out there. And I've been saying this for 2 years now, ever since Cody won the title and he started getting his ass beat by John. I just made mention of like, you cannot have him continue walking out in a suit. What do you want to talk about? Oh, I love you guys. Oh, bring your kids into the ring, blah, blah. I can't deal with that from Cody Rhodes anymore because that's not where we are, dude. Randy just beat you to a bloody pulp. And just to make quick mention, Sami Zayn actually plays a really big part in this because Sami Zayn last night on SmackDown he was backstage and he was kind of like in his head of like, oh man, Cody, he's this ultimate good guy, blah, blah, blah. And he's the champion. And then you got Randy over here who he's standing tall at the end of the show. Maybe the world that I thought was real isn't as real as it once was.
So good, by the way. He's killing it with this.
Man, love Sammy. But when WWE did that, that's the type of thing that you need to be doing with Cody Rhodes. There's no more thinking about it for Cody Rhodes. No, you have the target on your back. You know what I mean? Like, you are the hunted. Everybody's gunning for you. You have to move with urgency. You have to become more strategic. You can't think with emotion. These are things that I've said in a video before, but like they still ring true. Cody has to move strategically. He has to get out of his feelings. You can't care so much about like, oh, me and Randy were these longtime friends and we've done all these things together. And dude, excuse my language. Who gives a fuck?
You wanted this.
You're the one who asked for this.
You said it for yourself that you wanted the Viper to come out. Now, all of a sudden, if you come out next week and you try to be all lovey-dovey, nobody's going to buy that. You wanted the Viper. You wanted that man to come out. And now that man is coming out and you have to deal with the consequences that you wanted in the first place. If you have him go out there and be that ultimate good guy that WWE fans will ultimately reject in the end, that's just no good look for Cody Rhodes. Now, at the end of the day, I still 1000% believe that whatever happens here, Randy Orton has to come out on top and become the 15-time champion. But if somehow, some way, they just try to tell the story where Cody Rhodes if they do this story, it's gonna anger fans so much. If they have this man come out there, still be that ultimate good guy babyface and the rise of it all, and somehow, some way still defeats this man at WrestleMania because he overcame everything that Randy Orton was throwing at him, nobody's gonna buy that. And everybody's gonna want that man out of the championship picture for God knows how long. And it's not going to work out in their favor one way or another. If you want to get that man back the WWE championship, fine. But the first step is getting that title off of him right now. And there's only one man that can do that. And if Randy doesn't win, it's going to blow up in their face.
Yeah. So, we can make mention of all this and, it kind of falls back to the question that you asked. If I think that they take the night 2 main event, no. I genuinely don't. I think that Roman and Punk have too much power in that sense. I think Punk and Roman, I mean, it's just the money match through and through. They're the money match. Orton and Cody is, the true rivalry and the legacy, no pun intended. They're that match and they fit the night 1 role perfectly fine. But let's just be honest, Punk and Roman, it's night 2, zero doubts about it.
And I will say, like, I truly thought that we were just going to be getting the hatred and the and that kind of build for Monday Night Raw, obviously because of Roman Reigns and CM Punk and all that history. And then when I thought about the Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton rivalry when Cody won the title, I'm like, all right, since we got the hatred and just the pure despise of each other over on Monday Night Raw, what if we just got this feud built on the respect and the admiration that Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton have for each other up until the point where the Viper comes out and the Viper strikes. Then all of a sudden, literally as I was saying that, The man struck. So, I was like, forget my story, forget whatever I was trying to do. They're just going all in right now. And first of all, I love that. I love that they did not waste any time because you
Yeah.
really still only have 4 weeks.
Right.
You have a lot of time, but you don't at the same time. So you
Right.
might as well just get it done right now. And the way they did it was perfect. But by the way, everything
Mhm.
that involved him and Matt Cardona, I didn't believe a single second. You
Yeah,
say you
neither did
wanted to
I.
apologize. Obviously, you're not. And I will say this as well. You had 15 men in that ring when
Mhm.
you were trying to quote unquote calm down the Viper. You had 15 men in that ring, and none of you guys at all tried to get that man's arm out of that steel chair. And then what happened? You made him pay the consequences for it, and now Cardona has somewhat of a quote unquote broken arm. That's on you guys,
Yeah.
WWE. That ain't on
And
Orton.
yeah, Nick Aldis, brother, it's time to get your people together because that's a hefty fine. Y'all broke his arm.
When you have 15 people standing there, you're just trying to calm him down, and
Hey, bro,
nobody's
real
paying
fast.
attention to Matt Cardona trying to get that man's arm out of the chair. I was
Are we
like,
gonna
come on, guys.
are we gonna see Matt Cardona next week get rolled out in a wheelchair by Cody Rhodes in an arm sling?
He'll just have an arm sling or something, or like a half cast on his arm. Like, bro, dude, I was like, guys, get the man's arm out of the chair. What are you doing?
Randy
Get the
Orton's
man's
gonna
out.
roll him off
Get
the
the
side of
man
the
out of the
stage.
chair. What are you doing? And then all of a sudden he pushes the man, stomps on him. I'm like, see, this is what you get. This is what you get. This is not his fault.
Yeah, no, dude.
Bro.
Randy Orton next week's gonna roll Matt Cardona off the side of the stage and break his arm some
Oh
more.
my
or
god,
something
that
like
Kane storyline had me dying, bro.
Oh man,
That
so
Kane storyline with Cena and I believe Eve was a part of that too.
Eve Torres.
And dude, Elimination Chamber 2012, man,
Nope.
the ambulance match between Cena and Kane. Embrace the hate, bro. I actually wanted to embrace the hate. Honestly, I thought that was actually going to be the time when Cena turned heel. Lord knows, 14 years later.
Right, but not only did we see that, I mean, we just kind of moved over to SmackDown. So we'll talk about SmackDown a little bit.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa,
What are they doing with this?
Well, it looks like they want to separate Tama Tonga from
why?
This. I think the reason why okay, so let's talk about the news and everything that's kind of came out. You know, obviously Evil. There's been talks about him coming into the WWE. Now they did make mention that Evil was probably going to work NXT, which
he should.
Yeah, he wants to learn the style. He wants to learn the style of WWE, and obviously you're coming from Japan over to America. You know, they are two very different styles of pro wrestling. So Evil wants to go into NXT, but it feels like because of the things that they've done with Shinsuke Nakamura and Tama Tonga, that WWE really wants Shinsuke to kind of be the angel on Tama Tonga's shoulder and kind of pull him away and remember who Tama Tonga is. You know, if you go back and you look at Tama Tonga's career, I mean, him in New Japan Pro Wrestling was just absolutely phenomenal, even before the GOD stuff. You know what I mean? Like, Tama Tonga has done some great work through and through, and I think Shinsuke Nakamura is the one that recognizes it. And everything that he's doing with Solo Sikoa right now feels like kind of playtime for him. You know, he's not going out there and wrestling the way that he should be wrestling. So I see Trey over in your chat. He said Tama needs to turn face. Absolutely. I think that's going to be the goal, because here in a second, Solo's not going to have anybody to feud with. After the Wyatt Six, it's like, okay, what's Solo going to do? Okay, well, you have Tama Tonga pull away from him. I think the MFT thing is just kind of dead within itself. Like, it's not a fun group. I don't enjoy it. I love Solo Sikoa. Do not get me wrong. I love Solo and everything that Solo has done, but that group is dead. I mean, JC Mateo, using him, you thought it would work. And Tonga Loa is somebody who is like enjoyable, but you also know, like, bro, that dude, even without trying, is a comedy character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, the only two that truly make sense are Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. And I think the feud starts there, and then you kind of have people break off after that. And eventually it will lead to Tala Tonga, which is the fucking dumbest name on planet Earth. I'm sorry.
Or
Hikuleo.
Hikuleo.
Yeah, you have Hikuleo separate from Solo Sikoa, and that will be like the ultimate turn.
And maybe, just maybe, we can finally see JC Mateo, freaking Jeff Cobb, actually do something. Because man, oh man, that man is criminally underrated and
Correct.
underutilized with that.
Correct.
Look, I think what ultimately is going to happen is the Tama face turn, but I just don't see a world where him as a solo guy in
Makes
the
sense.
world of WWE makes sense. If anything, him and this is even more baffling to me than what I even realized in itself anyway, but you have the entire MFT group together. Obviously, Solo, no pun intended, is that solo act. He is the leader. He
Mm-hmm.
is the guy that he's been in world title contention before. He's their world title guy,
Yeah.
or main singles title run guy, or whatever you want to do with him, because he's been in that role before.
Mm-hmm.
Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa is the tag team of that group. Yet somehow,
For sure.
some way, they put JC Mateo in that spot, or they have
they
Hikuleo in that spot.
They made it
or
Jeff
whatever.
Cobb and they made it JC Mateo and fucking in Tongaloa.
Right, yeah, like they had that as the tag team for the tag team title match, and maybe they were just doing the Freebird rule without mentioning the
Oh
Freebird
yeah.
rule,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. But but if you know Jeff Cobb the way I do, and if you know like who he is about, that man can be that singles guy that WWE needs in a blink of an eye. They can plug him in, and he can do phenomenal work.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tama Tonga as a singles guy is just not going to work for me. Like it's not going to be a thing. If you want to split the two together, like Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, to where a point where MFT is just no longer a thing anymore, that's fine. And like if you want to split everybody up, that's one thing. But Tama Tonga as a solo act, or if you're trying to do this thing with Shinsuke Nakamura and Evil potentially when he does get called up, or if he skips NXT somehow, which I think would be a terrible mistake. If they're trying to do something with Tama Tonga, Shinsuke, and Evil when he comes up, what's the ceiling with that? I mean, there really was not much of a ceiling in the first place with the MFT guys, and then all of a sudden when that happened, it's not much. At the end of the day.
No. I mean, the best thing that's came out of it is this feud with the Wyatt Six, and I think that's more to just keep the Wyatt Six on TV.
Too long too,
right? Exactly. It's just been drawn out too long, and WWE needs to find a direction in which they're going to take. Because I understand you want to get all these people on TV. Not mad at you for it. Totally understand. But at the end of the day, not everything makes sense to be on TV.
And it's the freaking lantern that they're battling about. That's it. That's all they're doing with this.
Give the lantern back.
He said, give the lantern back. You're starting to act like Roman. And that's obviously a huge pivotal line in that.
Correct.
Like, you can't like have that go unnoticed at all. Which is ultimately going to lead to more things for the 4 weeks that we got. But I just think if they try to do this thing as a solo act for Tama Tonga, it's not going to work. And if anything, that tag team is more important than that singles run for Tama.
Yeah, and I would agree with you there 100%. I definitely think it's going to be interesting kind of to see how this progresses moving forward. But, you know, I don't want to spend too much time. I know we didn't talk too much about AEW or anything like that, but AEW obviously happened. We've seen the return of Will Ospreay. We'll kind of make some quick mention. Will Ospreay faced Blake Christian, Vanilla Baby. He faced Blake Christian in a one-on-one match, and he didn't do a lot of work, but he did end up hitting Blake Christian with the hidden blade. Yeah, he hit him with the hidden blade and, you know, kind of finished him off. And then there was obviously that very, very brutal coffin match between Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd, which was really solid within itself.
We flipped a car over on Dynamite just so that people knew.
Just because, on Dynamite. No, I definitely thought that should have been the match on Revolution rather than the trios match. Should have just been Gabe Kidd and Darby Allin. But
Darby and friends? Oh yeah, no, they didn't need that.
No, I definitely think that was just to get David Finlay on the show. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. I won't spend too much time on that.
What I think about AEW at this point in time in terms of the weekly show. First of all, I did not like that episode of Dynamite. I didn't.
No, dude, they do pay-per-view well, but they can't follow up.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the fact of the matter is, I don't even think that we even needed to have a Will Ospreay match on the show. I
No,
really don't.
no,
Like,
him cutting a promo
you
would have
need
been
to save
fine.
that. You need to save that first interaction or whatever, or like that first match. And I'm not saying you have to save it all the way until the next pay-per-view. I'm saying that if you need him to get into in the ring with possibly somebody from the Death Riders in order to get to John Moxley, that's one thing, and that's
Yeah, it
fine.
shouldn't have been Vanilla Baby Blake Christian.
And you know what? And this is no disrespect to Blake. The
Mm-mm.
fact of the matter is, if Will Ospreay needed to go in there with somebody and needed to get some sort of like quote unquote ring rust off, that's one thing. Obviously,
Mhm.
Will Ospreay knows his body. He's been away. He would want to have something just to like get back into the swing of things, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. But you had technically 3 returns, 4 of them if you want to count Kenny Omega on
Mm.
Revolution within the first hour and a half alone. First of all, I think that was way too much, and you need to save some things for the rest of your weekly show heading in to your next pay-per-view. But um but the Will Ospreay thing made sense. You're going after John Moxley and all that. I don't think John Moxley should have retained the Continental Championship, because now that Will Ospreay is going after John Moxley, what it's going to be for the Continental title?
Yeah,
There's so many things with that.
yeah, that shit was silly.
like,
It's stupid within itself.
like they do so well on the pay-per-views, but then all of a sudden when they get to
They
the
just
weekly shows,
fall off, dude, on the weekly shows.
it's so all over the place, and you really don't
Like,
know where they're going.
obviously we had the one thing that I did like was the MJF promo, which
Yes,
obviously he wasn't on the
MJF
show.
and Swerve, they were the best things about
Yes,
that
and
entire
then
show.
Swerve challenging Kenny Omega for his EVP position. Obviously, very solid. Nice to see some stakes added to that.
But I will say, the EVP thing, they're basically treating that as like their own separate championship within the company too.
They've
What
been
is
doing that
Swerve going to do with the
as an
EVP
EVP.
champion? Like, as an EVP that Kenny Omega hasn't even really done. Kenny Omega is not like an evil EVP where he puts himself in championship matches or anything
No,
like that.
I think the
He's
biggest
just a
EVP
guy.
thing. I think the biggest EVP thing that I've seen Kenny Omega do is like the video game.
Yeah, like he's just a guy on the
Right,
roster.
like,
So like,
yeah,
I mean,
like he's just there.
what does Swerve have to gain becoming a quote
Well,
unquote
it's just
EVP
crazy
of the
that
company?
they've been dragging this EVP title across not only the Young Bucks but also Kenny Omega
They did that with the Young
since the
Bucks
beginning
too.
of
And the
fucking
Young
time.
Bucks and Swerve didn't want the EVP status when it came down to the Young Buck thing too with Will.
No.
He just wanted them out. And the Young Bucks are no longer quote unquote EVP in storyline with kayfabe and all that. But you know that they are, because they founded the goddamn place. And so did Kenny Omega. And like, I mean, it's not like
We've been dragging
the
this on
EVP thing?
since 2019.
Right. Now, if somehow, some way Swerve does win that match, because the match is happening next week on Dynamite. They're not saving it for the show.
If he wins, I need Swerve to come out in a suit with a goddamn clipboard.
And he
talking
needs
about
to
these are the
actually be
rules
like
that
an
are going to
evil
change.
EVP in that sense.
Right.
Like, he should put himself in like bigger situations or anything like that if he becomes a quote unquote EVP of the company.
Yeah, I'm
But if he
going to
doesn't-
challenge for the world title, and MJF has to tie his arm behind his back.
Right, like he's got to do dastardly things, but
Yeah,
in the end, I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, I don't see anything for that in terms of that, and I think Kenny Omega gets the job done next week, because again, this match happened next week. It's not happening at the pay-per-view. So I mean, like, and by the way, this is the second time they're facing off with each other. The
And
first
on an
time also
AEW
happened
show.
on a Dynamite, so they're not even putting these guys on pay-per-view.
It's because they want dude. I love AEW. I love the company, but they do shit so ass backwards sometimes. What do you mean you're putting Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland 2 on AEW Dynamite, and you did the first one on AEW Dynamite? The biggest problem here is that is a pay-per-view caliber match. Those are the same mistakes that WCW made so many years ago, and you're making those same mistakes again trying to compete, and you don't need to compete.
Right.
You need to put on a good television show that makes sense. AEW, I promise you, it's not that hard, bro. It is not.
And the one thing that they also did on the show, after just the random 6-man tag team match as the main event, when you had a coffin match and a no holds barred match also on your card, just for you guys to know. They had a 6-man tag team match with Jack Perry and the Young Bucks taking on Roppongi Vice and
Inosuke
Kazuchika
or
Okada.
Kazuchika
Roppongi
Okada.
Vice, I haven't seen
Yeah.
in God knows how long, so that can be of a note as well.
Rocky Romero.
Rocky Romero, and I actually do like that tag team. Rocky and
Yeah,
and
oh yeah,
Okada, that
they were
tag
great
team
in
was
New
great.
Japan.
Yeah, like that team was great, but yeah, just a random 6-man tag as the main event. But after that, it's never normally, and this is also a thing that happens in AEW. The matches that happen on the show don't matter. It's normally what happens after the match. That's really like the angle and the storyline that they try to tell and everything like that. And happens in every single match on the card. So
Yeah.
what happened after the 6-man tag team match is that the Young Bucks, they get on the microphone and they're all sad. They're like, we went to a birthday party yesterday, Matt's birthday party, and they were all sad. And then all of a sudden his father came out and said, look, you guys should not put your head down. You guys are the Young Bucks. You had everybody in your corner and all of that. And you guys still have everybody in the crowd loving you. And this is so forced. They're like, but at the end of the day, we are the Young Bucks. We are going to rise up. We are going to do the dang thing. And then you had Edge and Christian come out, or Cope and Christian. And
Cope and Cage.
Yeah, Cope and Cage. And they're like, you guys should not have your head down. You guys are the Young Bucks. You guys are too good for that.
Can I mention something really fast?
Yeah.
I just kind of want to mention the Cope and Cage thing. So it was so funny when obviously we've seen them return.
Took like 15 minutes, by the way, after the match. So
correct. So Cope and Cage, they come back at Revolution, and the only thing that I could think to myself is like, oh man, they still don't really actually like each other.
No. Like Cope and Cage,
they're a tag team and they don't really like each other.
They're not really good friends. They're just kind of existing with each other because they kind of have
to. Still, this is shit that has been stretched for the last year. What do you mean they still don't like each other, brother? It's time.
It's crazy, but like, I mean, they have them come out there and they're basically doing the rah-rah speech to the Young Bucks. I'll just make this quicker. So they do the rah-rah speech there. Then FTR come out with Stokely, who I thought was, I don't know if he was in the wheelchair or not. I can't remember.
No, I don't think he was in the wheelchair.
He wasn't in the wheelchair anymore. Okay. But then all of a sudden, when he was about to speak, they obviously boo him out of the building like they normally do. And they just say, just go get them. And this is weird because, again, this isn't like dumb babyface syndrome that we normally see when it comes down to two guys or one guy going into the ring with multiple people. These are heels.
Yeah.
These are heels at the end of the day. And they're going after these four guys that are obviously going to beat their ass. And then all of a sudden, when they bow out, the two tag teams that are left standing in the Young Bucks and CNC, they had the tag team titles. And then Bucks just drop them, give them to Cope and Christian, and that's the match at it's not Full Gear. What is it?
Dynasty.
And that's the match at Dynasty. It's Cope and Christian versus FTR.
They just threw the graphic up.
Day, guys, we know you lost, but we're getting the tag team title shot now.
They just threw the graphic up.
We're getting the tag team title match now. Sorry. You guys are going to have to wait your turn, which I still believe that at the end of the day, we're going to be getting a 3-way match.
Yeah, it's going to be a TLC match.
At All In, they're going to try to recreate the magic of that TLC match between the Hardys, Edge and Christian.
It's not going to happen, but they can try.
And yeah, that's what they're going to be doing for All In. I don't know what they're probably going to do at Double or Nothing. If anything, Double or Nothing could possibly be Edge and Christian versus the Young Bucks. And because I do think Edge and Christian somehow, some way get that title in Vancouver. And then we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, there's so much all over the place with that. And that was like 15 to 20 minutes after the match. So like the match ended at like 10:02 at night.
Yeah.
And normally,
it was like 15 minutes after. Normally, they stop directly at 10.
And I don't even call it an overrun at this point because that happens every single episode of Dynamite. Like, they're
Mhm.
basically a 2.5-hour show without telling you it's a 2.5-hour show. So, like, it's basically a Monday Night Raw now in terms
Yeah.
of, like, like, the time frame. So, I don't call it an overrun. They did that for, like, 15 to 20 minutes, and I know it sounds convoluted as hell when I talk about it, but that's
Mhm.
exactly how it felt when watching it. I was
It was
like
yes. Yes, brother.
like, it was so all over the place,
Well,
and I get what they were trying to do.
the problem with it is I catch myself and maybe other people in this chat, there's so many things that I enjoy about AEW, but then there's so many things that I don't enjoy about AEW. And the things that I don't enjoy pull me away from the show to where
Yeah,
my investment level becomes lesser. Does that make sense?
right. Yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
my investment level falls through the cracks. I no longer care about what's happening on the show until it's time for something that I care about. And then I want to turn away. I want to go do something. I want to like that's my problem with AEW.
Right.
That's been the biggest thing is consistency. They've lacked consistency across their main show. Even their second show, they've lacked consistency. Like it's
Well,
just been a constant.
collision rarely means anything at the end of the day.
Correct.
So,
It's just been a constant thing where it's like, at least with WWE, and I hate to compare the two, but at least with WWE, they do things that technically keep me somewhat invested. Like I'm constantly moving. There's always something taking place, whether it be in the ring, whether it be backstage, whether they pull me out to the parking lot. Like when I watch TV, I want to be dragged in. I
yeah.
want to be dragged into the scenario, even if it's not my favorite thing of all time. At
And
least they're pulling me in.
and it may not make sense all the time at the moment that it happens, but most of the time, some way, shape, or form, it will
Yeah, they
make
try
sense
to
down
tie
the
it.
line.
Yeah, they
And
try to
and,
tie
and
it.
they'll try to tie it in. Now, I want to preface this because I know at some point some people could possibly clip this and figure this out that these two are now just slandering AEW, even though we're only on our second episode, people. So obviously we're new to this and we're trying things out. But guys, look, this isn't a slander towards AEW whatsoever. I want this company to succeed. I want this company to get better. I want this company to ultimately, see the flaws that they have, ultimately fix them, and just get better at the end of the day. This
Dude.
is no slight to AEW. This is no
Mhm.
slight to Tony Khan. This is no slight to any of the talent over there. This is just a guy that sees some things that personally he would like to see some things get fixed. And at the end of the day, you just talk about him. It's the world of professional wrestling. It's a variety show. It is a show week to week that you tune into, and you like some things and you don't like some others. That's all this is. Now, at the end of the day, I love both these companies. I watch
Mhm.
both these companies on a week to week basis. I was a day one guy for AEW.
Mhm.
I've been watching professional wrestling and the world of WWE since 2008, 2009. I know what I like and I know what I don't. And
Mhm.
so
Yep.
does basically anybody in the chat for that matter, or
Yeah, dude.
anybody else in the world that is professional wrestling if you are a fan of it. This is not a slander to AEW. But at the end of the day, I do think that some things need to be fixed up and they need to be figured out. And if
Yeah. Here's
that's wrong of me, then so be it.
here's the truth. AEW has arguably the best pro wrestler through and through in all of pro wrestling right
That
now in
roster is an
MJF.
all-time roster if you
Dude,
really want to split it
MJF
up.
is hands down the best wrestler, in my opinion, right now as we speak, when it comes down to actual ability, whether it be in ring, whether it be on the microphone. He has everything. He
And and,
is he is the
and the
factor.
uptick of AEW and why it's getting so much over the course of the last couple of weeks is because of MJF. It's solely on the shoulders of MJF. What
That
he's
man
doing.
is walking around carrying that company on his back, and that's why AEW, if they're smart, and this will be the last thing that I
Yeah.
mention, if they're smart, they need to do MJF and Will Ospreay at All In.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They have to create their money match. That is their
Well,
money match.
Osprey needs to win the Owen, and that's perfectly
Correct.
fine if that happens.
Correct.
Like, I mean, that's such the key trajectory there that they need to go for. MJF is the guy that you put that company around. him and he's going to succeed. People, like I had one person ask me the other day if there was a way that you're starting a professional wrestling company and you can sign one person automatically to your company. Who are you signing? I'm signing MJF.
Absolutely. Number one.
I'm signing MJF because he is not only the heel that you need, but
Mhm.
he can be the guy that one way or another, whether you like the man or whether you don't, that man puts the company on his back in terms of trying to get AEW more out there
Mhm.
with the movies that he's doing or any other roles that he's doing outside. You have him in the interviews. Yeah, sure, he may be in character, but the man that's one of the best things about him. He stays in that character. Now, sometimes it can go a little over the top, but at the end of the day, MJF is MJF, and you expect that. Then, in terms of the in ring, absolutely one of the best pro wrestlers on the entire planet. On the mic, absolutely one of the best talkers on the entire planet. You have everything at your disposal with this guy, and he's only 30 years old.
Correct. Very simple, straightforward. Um,
So,
but I know I don't want to spend much more time. I know that we got lives, we got things to do. But the last thing that I will make mention of, and I don't want to talk about it too long, just because I've already discussed it a bunch. Um, but obviously there has been a little underlining bleak cloud that kind of sits over AEW right now, due to the Ricochet situation that
oh yeah,
transpired.
yep.
Yeah, he got there was a comment on Twitter where he told the fan that he said, in quote, "I'm glad you got MS." For anybody who doesn't know what MS is, it's a very serious condition that somebody does not necessarily have the power to control. Um, and what I've mentioned previously is that it's disgusting. I don't think that there is any way to argue that. Um,
Right.
I've seen a lot of people online try to defend the situation. I am I understand where people are like, oh, like, oh, they're wrestling figures, and you know, um, they're humans too, and sure. But somebody critiquing somebody, and that's when I read that comment, that's all I felt. Hold on one moment. All I felt
Yep.
was that this was a critique of just you're not good, or what was it? Your acting's not getting any better, or something like that. If
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. The person like they said what their acting isn't getting any better, and then all of a sudden MJF said that, and not MJF, Ricochet said
Ricochet,
that. I
yeah.
don't want to I don't want to
Yeah.
mix that up.
Right.
MJF did nothing there at that point, but yeah, uh, I've stayed away from this for
Fair.
reasons,
Fair.
with all of this. First of all, I didn't even know it happened. Genuinely, at the time that it
Yeah.
happened, I genuinely had no idea anything happened.
The
The
the only
only time that
reason.
I saw something happen was when
Mhm.
the reports came out about the apology, and I was like,
Yes,
"What the
which
heck did he
obviously took
apologize for?"
place the next day, where he
Yes,
did come out with an apology. Now, there have been reports that kind of followed that the apology was not told by AEW or Warner Brothers Discovery, and
yeah, he
that
did that. Yeah, he
yeah,
did that
the
on his own
apology was
accord.
just, apparently a friend reached out to him and said, like, this is a bad look or whatever.
Yeah,
Regardless of the fact, he did try to apologize. Now, how far or what that apology actually means, I don't think that's for us to tell. I think that's for Sandy. Sandy was the person who
I
got the comment towards her. I think Sandy is the person who can choose whether that apology was real or not. I don't think that's necessarily up to us.
right.
It's a very touchy subject. I don't
Yeah,
really.
I stayed away from it only because it's such a weird thing within the community. I
Well,
understand
because
that
you
there's
have two situations. You
yeah,
have two
yeah.
situations. You have one situation where you look at this and you say, man, you're a person who's on TV. You're representing a global company.
But
You
as
are
a human being, though, at the end of the day, you should know whether there's something right or wrong to post. And it doesn't have
correct.
to be somewhere in a guideline for an AEW or an AEW contract to conduct yourself in a way on social media that's an actual human being that lives on this planet. You
Correct. And
should
now,
know based on your own morals whether that is right or whether that is wrong to say. No matter if you're trying to be in character or not, because he's been doing things with the IWC for God knows how long.
Right. It's very normal of Ricochet to go on Twitter and just bash people. Like you get used to it at some point. But making a comment like that is obviously very severe because this is a disease that, or maybe not a disease, but you know what I mean. It's something that somebody is born with and realistically has little to no control over. Like you can't just fix this
Yeah,
immediately. You know what I mean?
MS can kill you. Like
Correct.
it is a deathly like disease or whatever. So like I
Correct.
mean, it's not like
It's
you
just
should not
it's
be able to do that on your own confines of your social media. And even if some ways, somewhere, AEW legal or a friend said, look, this isn't a good look, take it down, you shouldn't have never even posted in the first place. I suggest for Ricochet's sake, get off that goddamn platform. Because if you weren't even on that platform, none of this would have ever happened. And now, if you get fired because of this, sorry to say, but that's on you, bro. That's not.
so really fast. I want to make mention, and Nats
It's not.
fan, and Nats fan.
Anyone's
This
fault
is
but
the
you.
second argument. Is Nats fan says he said it's Ricochet being heel. I feel like it's okay in story. Here's the thing,
That's
and
not
I'm just
story
gonna
though, bro.
yeah,
That's
and
not.
this is the thing. It's not story, and not only that, we talked about MJF a little bit ago. MJF is very compared in this situation, like, oh, that is definitely something MJF would say. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm not going to lie to you. MJF would probably say that. He'd also say it to you rather than,
Right.
through a keyboard. But not only that, MJF is a character that is really established. He's an established character. You have to understand that Ricochet is not an established person in this case. He lost the national championship in the pre-show of AEW Revolution. Dude, I am here to tell you, as somebody who does not watch AEW consistently, I do not care about Ricochet. I never have. I
Right.
never have cared about Ricochet. I don't like Ricochet. I do not find any enjoyment out of Ricochet. Character or not, it does not matter. I do not enjoy him as a pro wrestler. I do not enjoy him as whatever, a human being now, essentially. But nothing excites me about Ricochet, and it never has. Everybody, oh, the 630 splash. Dude, we're talking about 10, 12 years ago. I'm sorry. I do not give a shit. But
Prince Puma was the time where I absolutely cared about that guy. Other than that, like I mean, he didn't really do much
yeah,
for the WWE and not here in AEW.
So here's the thing. Ricochet is not established in that realm. He's just not. You cannot go out and say that thing because I don't care about Ricochet. I can imagine that there is somebody down the street who doesn't have a clue of who Ricochet is.
That man the title.
Right. Yeah. You want to make me care about him? Fuck, do something good on your television show that we've just sat up and said, hey, you should probably start doing some things with your television show to make it better. Put Ricochet on the show and make him a better character. I can't.
Well, here's the thing. With this now, I don't think he's ever realistically going to be on the show.
No, absolutely not.
Like, I mean, the man was not even mentioned a single lick on this past episode,
of Dynamite.
And I think ultimately what they're going to be doing is they're going to be trying to figure out whether this man is going to be good for this company moving forward or not. That like they took the title off.
Here's the problem. You have a double standard situation.
Yeah.
If you do not go do something to Ricochet, then what was the situation with CM Punk?
Yeah. And if this is going to be like, the fact of the matter is, if you do something right now with Ricochet, then you better be doing this to anybody else that possibly speaks out on social media in terms of the AEW in terms of the AEW roster, because more people than Ricochet do this.
Correct.
And a lot of people in the wrestling industry, let alone do this. Not like just the wrestlers themselves in the wrestling.
But again,
industry.
this is the problem. This is the problem. AEW has already held themselves to a standard that they get rid of anybody who talks in any certain way or acts in any ill manner. AEW has already showed that they do that.
Yeah.
Hold the same standard. Hold the same standard. Or you're a hypocritical businessman.
Yeah, and I don't think any of this would have ever freaking happened if they actually just well, first of all, you'd have to sit like 500 people down at this point, considering the roster. But like
right.
you do, you should know
You
the
set
right
rules, you set guidelines.
you should know the right context of what social media can be. If you're gonna be using it in character, that's one thing, that's fine. And you make it in the sense of the story that you're trying to tell with the person that you're doing it with. Otherwise, if you're going after fans, it just should not be allowed.
Correct.
So
Correct. It's all
there's
very
so much
interesting.
with this.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it. It is what it is. It happened. Obviously, the person that got attacked in the comments, horrible situation. Don't like seeing it. But we've covered everything. We have really touched on everything. And I just want to make mention that, we are trying to be here as much as we possibly can, and we're figuring this thing out. So, Phil, big shout out to you.
Yes.
If you guys want to go subscribe over on Phil's channel, it's Phil Emet over there. He does watch longs and everything like that. That man's constantly pumping out content. So make sure to go check him out. If you're new to me, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button. I also do watch longs. I put out daily wrestling videos. I put out shorts. Anything you need, I'm probably there for you. Whether it be news, opinions, I'm probably there for you to make it happen.
I want to mention this real quick.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, guys, like Billy said, we're trying to figure this out. We're doing the best we can in order to make this possible. When we came up with this thing together, it was supposed to be a fun thing that both of us can do together. Not only just to pump out more content for my sake, but for his sake as well. And the thing is, this has been a really fun time over the course of the last 2 episodes that we're doing. Episode 2 in the books right now, and it's been a great thing.
It has. It's been a lot of fun, man.
The patience of you guys cannot go unnoticed. We understand that you guys want to see more of this, and we are trying our goddamn hardest to make things work. And we're going to have this set schedule. We're going to be making this. I love the Saturday thing. I think Saturdays really work. I think
Saturday is the word.
But it depends on sometimes with scheduling. And that is perfectly okay. Whether it can happen on a Saturday or it can happen on a Sunday, depending on our schedules, that's great. But we're going to try to do this as consistently as we possibly can. Don't worry. We are still going to be doing this. This is not going anywhere. Nope. It's just, if stuff happens, stuff happens. And we know you guys understand. I know you guys. I know you're trying to wrap it up, Billy, and I get that. But I did see David in chat earlier. Shout out to you, my man. He wanted. There was a question that he was asking in my chat the other day, and he wanted us to answer this here on the podcast if we can.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yes. You can actually pull it up on screen. David just typed it out. Or he wants to say the next show.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to do it right now,
let's do it. Let's do it real fast.
Name 5 wrestlers who want to go from AEW and want to go to the WWE from AEW. So the switches.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting topic to do because, if you guys saw the report earlier, apparently Tony Khan wanted to buy the WWE back in 2023.
That was mentioned.
And that was very interesting in and of itself.
Real fast. Nats fan, I can put it on Spotify.
Yeah, that would be that would be great too. But yeah, I mean, that whole story came out. There's a lot of what if scenarios or that could bring up, and this question kind of falls in line with that. If you had the WWE and AEW do these kind of trades, so we could possibly workshop it together. We can come up with the 5 guys because honestly, I think that would be a good idea to do.
All right, so 5 wrestlers from AEW that would go to WWE and 5 WWE superstars that would go to AEW. I'm going to start with WWE wrestlers. You ready? I'm going to shoot some out.
All right.
I could see Finn Balor potentially going to AEW.
Yes.
I could also see somebody like Sami Zayn potentially going to AEW. I could also see somebody like Kevin Owens going to AEW. And I'm trying to shoot from a standpoint of main roster stars. I could see Shinsuke Nakamura ending and landing in AEW. And probably the biggest hot take of them all, I could see Drew McIntyre landing in AEW.
That would be really cool too. Yeah. I've always thought of people like Finn Balor,
Hmm.
somebody like a Sami Zayn, somebody like a Kevin Owens. Uh, I I'm delusional as hell, but I truly do believe that some way, shape, or form AJ Styles is coming here. I do. I'm delusional as hell, but
Tad bit
let me be.
delusional.
Uh, and you know, he's a former WWE guy, but technically this still counts in my eyes a carrying cross. I think he would have fit perfectly over there too. Um, those guys right there, they're a very kind of like interesting group. Obviously, carrying cross, he's a guy that you want him to be
Hmm.
taken seriously, and you want him to kind of be put into positions that he can in order to succeed for himself. But
Hmm.
AEW, he would fit that mold to a T. Um, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they were like, what are we bred for a company like
Yeah.
AEW? Like they would fit so well. Um, and Finn Balor, I mean, he would also fit too because Bullet Club stuff. He got all of that there. But I mean, there's so much that they can do with those five guys. But if I wanted to possibly name off a woman, if anything, 1000% Bailey.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
I do not think that Bailey is not going to be lasting that much longer in the WWE anyways.
Right.
Personally,
I
I
definitely
I
think that
think
it's
there's not
only a
much for
matter
her
of
left to
time.
do.
Right. I kind of the AEW stars going to WWE. I think the easy one is MJF. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think the second one, even though there's been a little bit of controversy, Will Ospreay. I think I could easily see Will Ospreay landing in WWE one day eventually. Another person that kind of sticks out that might throw some people off, given that maybe he doesn't necessarily fit the style of WWE,
right.
is Darby Allin. Um, I know that's a really hot take one because obviously Darby is so far away from the WWE style, it's sickening. But I think Darby still has so much to do in his career,
Yeah.
and he's obviously going to develop over the years. Um, Another person that really sticks out, and this is something that I can actually 100% see happening here soon. And this will be I'll put both of them together. Tay Mello and Sammy Guevara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could definitely see them landing in WWE eventually. And then I think the next obviously I can't even talk. The next obvious one would be Britt Baker.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, dude, that the writing is on the wall for that. I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't seen Britt in God knows how long in AEW,
Even
and
even Switchblade.
ooh, yeah, that
Jay
would be
White.
really cool too. That would be really
Absolutely.
cool too.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, man, AEW, it's a very interesting kind of roster that you could possibly build yourself with to people to go to WWE. Um, you can obviously say the guys like a Will Osprey or MJF or anything like that. MJF would work for me 1000%.
Yeah.
Going to the WWE. Um, you know, th- I think somehow, some way, if Brody King found his way over there,
Hmm.
I think he would absolutely thrive. I
I
do.
agree. I agree.
I think he would absolutely thrive. Now, of course, if you take a look at some older pictures from AEW, like if you look at like just a picture of AEW with a lot of AEW superstars in the background, somehow, some way, most of them have actually shown up into WWE.
Yeah, in one way
Like
or yeah, in one
they've come
way.
back, they've come here.
Right.
Um, but like, I mean, I was saying people like MJF, Brody King, somehow, some way, um, if we found somebody like Roosh going over there,
Yeah.
I think he would be a really cool, like, he's an Andrade type of guy they would utilize him like, but I
Hmm.
mean, that guy is so underrated in the company. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And then Statlander.
Yeah.
So obviously
Statlander's
Statlander
another
going to
solid
the
pick.
WWE, it makes sense because there's not much for her left to do in AEW. She has that Bailey factor.
Yep.
And I feel like if Statlander came to the WWE, that would probably be the best thing for Bailey to do in order to stay within the
Right.
WWE. If they
Right.
want Bailey to stay within the WWE, get
Bring
Chris.
over Chris Statlander.
Like there's a lot of people that can work within the WWE from AEW. And the thing is, it's nothing against AEW. Like AEW's been a great place for these people to start. But if you want things to be turned up to 10, and if you want things to kind of like, I don't want to say progress because I feel like that's a bad thing from AEW. Like people from
Real
AEW don't
fast.
progress.
Real fast. Question. Are Roosh and Dragon Lee brothers?
Roosh and Dragon Lee are brothers along with Juristico. Yeah. Roosh,
What the fuck?
yeah, they're three. They're three of them.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Dragon Lee had maybe like 1 or 2 appearances in AEW before going to the WWE. Then all of a sudden, when WWE found him, they kind of snatched him up. Yeah, not many people realize that Dragon Lee is
Wait, they're like,
yeah, they're all related, bro. Roosh, Dragon Lee, and Drilistico. Yeah.
wow, you learn something new every day. Okay.
LFI's been a thing with Drilistico and Roosh for the better part of the last like few years or whatever in AEW, and they've had not Bandito. Who the heck is it? Beast Mortos. They had Beast Mortos a part of that too, but Dragon Lee was there for like
well, I obviously remember like Dragon Lee, especially when he was coming into NXT. Like it was obviously such like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like everybody made like a huge deal about him coming to the WWE.
It was like a cup of coffee in AEW before he got snatched.
No shit. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Didn't know that. Obviously, that's really cool. Very interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
But yeah, like I was saying though, like that, it's nothing against AEW. Obviously, AEW wrestlers do progress in that company. But if you want things turned up to 10 and you want the machine to get behind you, the machine is the WWE, and they're gonna turn you up to 10, and they're gonna make you a freaking star. I mean, look at what's happened over the course of the last couple of times AEW people have come over. So I mean, you can honestly make an entire goddamn podcast about this and what you can honestly do. With people from AEW and WWE. But yeah, man, it's a really interesting thing to talk about. And and here's the thing, I will say this too. It's an underrated type of move, but in terms of like a managerial sake, that they're not a part of AEW anymore because they didn't quietly get released. They just left the company quietly. But Alex Abrahantes. If Alex Abrahantes went over to AEW and was partnered up with Penta and Ray Phoenix whenever they got back together as like
that'll Bros, be really nice to see. Maybe that's something that I think that's something you'll end up seeing in AAA more than anything.
And if anything, Jose the assistant. If Jose was with Andrade, now that Andrade made his like 5th return to the WWE or 5th return to AEW for that matter. Whatever company he works for. I mean, next week he'll show up into WWE at this rate. But I mean, like even somebody like Jose the assistant, if they wanted to do something with him, that would be working well too. I mean, those two are really underrated, like managerial type guys. Yeah, and kind of sucks that they're not even a part of any company right now. So hopefully that can happen for them in one day.
For sure. But man, it's time to wrap this up and call it a stream. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in, man. I know Phil does the same thing. Again, guys, go subscribe over to Phil's channel. It's Philly Met. Go check him out. If you guys are new to me, be sure to check me out. And we'll be back next week. Appreciate you guys.
Stay tuned for later on today. 2K My Rise coming at you. So there you go. So we got that. Go check them out. I'm finally not. I'm done waiting. I'm gonna get that done. So stay tuned for all the pipeline that you got here for both of us here.
My ass is going to just be uploading shorts today. I've been working all week, so I'm just gonna take some of these clips and upload them and have a little bit of fun with that. Other than that, I'm going to watch the new Wicked movie with my girlfriend.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go spend some family time. But appreciate everybody who's tuned in. Phil, always appreciated. And we'll see you guys next week.
Shout out to everybody in chat. Let's go.
Peace. I'll put it out on Spotify. Give me like a day.
See you guys.
Peace.